It's tea time. 503.
Yep.
Crimson Lotus tea. Nevermore.
2019, some ripe. Just had this laying around. Thought we after last time session of some very strong raw, got to mellow and chill out a little bit with some nice little ripe. So I've had this tea before. I don't remember it all.
Wow, look at all the leaves are tiny.
Yeah,
Here,
interesting. So must be kind of a tippier tea.
Yeah. Smells nice. Cool. Boink. Okay. We haven't had Crimson Lotus tea in forever.
No, we haven't. Yeah, and I've had this sitting around for a little bit.
Cool. So given I use a lot of kind of like little bits of tea here, it's going to be a bit muddier looking. And I will move it around quite a bit here to really get it all rinsed off. And then one rinse is sufficient. Nice and viscous. Okay. Get in there.
Yep, smells like gold ripe.
A lot of fruit on the nose. Look how dark that is. Wow. Okay, flash steeping it is.
Yeah, so if it has smaller leaves, we might expect it to extract a little faster. So it could be a little more front-loaded as far as that goes.
Yep.
But yeah, a combination of factors there.
Yeah, and also that we use all the little pieces there, so just purely physically, just more surface area.
Right.
Excuse my fingers there. And so, just going to brew out a little bit faster. So we should expect to get into the meat and potatoes of the tea a little bit faster. Cheerio.
Cheerio. Very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell how much of it is just a contrast versus the last tea, but yeah, it's like silk smooth. Like a nice sweetness and richness to it.
Yeah. Get a little bit of a charcoal, a little bit of mineral.
Washing that bitterness down.
And after the last episode, I just had some water to freshen up my palate, and I was like, God, this water tastes sweet. So,
yeah.
Context. That as well.
One of these episodes, we have to have Sichuan food and just totally fuck our palates up.
Smells like a ripe.
It does, yeah.
Tastes like a ripe. I'd say more on for me, kind of the woody, charcoal-y side.
Yeah. For me, definitely very woody. But definitely pretty squarely in that category. If this was a blind test, it'd be very easy to guess that this is a ripe. Cheerio.
Cheerio.
So if you were planning a tea session, where would you put something like this into it? Like you wanted to do some sort of flight with a friend or something.
I think towards the earlier part of the session for sure.
Okay.
Maybe not first.
Okay.
But something like this would contrast really well against a white tea or a green tea.
Yeah.
Even a black tea. Bring it back to something light after that. Maybe like a rolled oolong that's nice and fruity. You can imagine even a Baozhong or something like that at that point, and then get into something raw and much more potent and intense, right? So maybe it would kind of like ride a wave of different flavors there. This to me, I think, wouldn't... So we had this really intense raw before this, and I'm almost having a harder time placing this tea now because the bitter notes that I'm getting from this are harder to discern from just the residual bitter flavor.
Just the contrast.
Yeah.
The tea tastes really soft, really easygoing in comparison, and it's hard to say how much of that's the tea versus it just being contrasted with the previous tea. That's a good point. I do remember when we hung out with Scott that one time. Many years ago at this point, he would always start the mornings off with ripe, before breakfast, or just because it was so easy on the stomach.
Yep. And this tea, I wouldn't say it's the absolute smoothest. I think it has a bit more body to it. So this is a kind of tea that actually I don't know if I could drink on a empty stomach. Whereas kind of my typical daily drinker ripes that are a bit more chilled out, honestly, I can just drink those all day.
Yeah. Do you think part of that is the tippy nature of this tea? Yeah, there is something about this that's a little different, and so maybe because of last tea, it does make it a little more challenging to place it.
Yeah. Interesting. I definitely think it's partly because it's so tippy. Yeah. It's really actually quite dark.
Very woody, very creamy.
Yeah, in terms of the oxidation, I agree. The creaminess is quite evident. Really interesting. This is tasting good now. I think it wouldn't make sense to continue to age something like this. Yeah, it's good. It's not like this is no shade on anyone. Crimson Lotus teas, those guys are great.
Sounds like it's gonna be shade on someone.
This isn't something that I would say is like God. Yeah, thanks for that. God, anything I say after that is
caveat, uncaveat.
Yeah, God, I'll do this. No, this tea tastes squarely in the ripe category. Not like so. Some ripes we bring on the show were like, whoa, that's a ripe? Weird, right?
Yeah.
No, this tastes very squarely in the ripe category. I agree. I think it's much more creamy and woody and earthy than it is sort of like cherry sweet or even vanilla. But it's very much like a ripe. It's hard. I feel like this is actually a bitterer tea than we're noticing.
Interesting. You might be right. I can't.
It's hard to notice it.
Yeah.
Because we just had that mouth smacker of a tea.
Yeah. That's
really,
interesting.
really clean. Like really.
Yeah.
Quite lovely, actually.
But yeah, I would agree with you that this is definitely, it's not like you're straight down the middle, right? But it's within that like kind of bullseye center,
totally.
Of, like somewhere in there.
It's nice. Yeah. All within the same family of flavors, certainly, but I think this is a bit more of that charcoal-y vibe.
Nice mouthfeel and texture to this.
Yeah, I agree entirely. Yeah, really nice. I think for folks who are a bit more coffee drinkers, this is going to be a bit more of a flavorful or appreciated ripe.
I can see that. Yeah.
Something that, again, just has kind of those darker notes. Seasonally, this actually, unlike normal, where I think ripe I can kind of drink all year, this actually tastes a bit more like a winter tea for me. Just kind of bolder, darker flavors.
Yeah, it's a little more flavor forward, I guess you'd say, than other ripes.
I'm going to push this one and see how we do. I eyeballed the amount of leaf in here, and it's rehydrated quite a bit, so at this point the Gaiwan is 2/3 full, which might be a bit more than I would do typically for ripe.
Yeah.
So it could be me slightly overbrewing it. But the nose is really interesting because the nose has a much more fruit on the nose than I'm actually tasting in the cup.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I will say, even though it is a little harder to taste the tea and maybe pick up on some of the nuances, it is kind of a nice come down tea from the of that in terms of just like settling it. I mean, after the last one, I felt pretty caffeinated and definitely like ready to work out or do something like that.
Totally, yeah, I agree.
And this one is just a little more balancing.
A little bit more calm. Yeah. It's nice. I like this because I feel like this is actually exemplifying part of that category or family of flavors that you would get from ripe, but really clearly in that bit more of that deeper mineral-y, charcoal-y vibe. So it's nice. This is actually a good tea, frankly, for someone who's a bit newer to ripe because it so strongly tastes of a higher quality ripe than something you would... low quality ripes, they have a sourness, they have kind of a basementy flavor sometimes, and then it's like cherries and like sticks basically. It's not complex in any way. So this is nice, elevated.
Cheerio.
Love the texture on this too.
Yeah.
Nice. Crimson Lotus teas, check them out, give them a Google.
Yeah. As far as I know, you could still get this tea, but, check it out.
And shoot them an email. I know Glenn, especially, I don't want to sign Glenn up for more work than he needs to do. So
definitely send them an email.
Make sure to tell them that Denny did this. No, but fans of those guys for a long time. Great tees, and they're just so personable.
Yeah.
So I just would not hesitate to reach out and say, "Hey, I heard about you from this really incredible YouTube channel that just is phenomenal." And
Danny and Jim.
Danny and Jim's TZ Dab or something like that. Anyway,
Boomer TDB. That's a good April.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I'll write that one down. Anyway, yes, no, this is great. And check them out too. Just send them an email because, again, this might not sound perfect to you, but they're going to have something I think that you would like, and Glenn would actually be responding to you about it. This is great for someone who I think likes a bit more of those deeper, earthier notes.
Yeah, I think for me at least, I agree with you that this is a little bit more of a winter tea, but I think for me at least this suits my taste pretty nicely.
Yeah, nice. And would this be kind of more of a daily drinker for you?
I could drink it daily. I don't know if it's like 100% what I would, but
I think it's a little bit too complex for me, honestly, to be a daily drinker. But yeah, definitely a tea nerds tea. Tasty. Follow them, follow us, follow your dog around to make sure that it doesn't get out of the house for too long.
Generally good advice.
Just, make sure you're taking care of your pets. And or people. I don't know, whatever. You guys do the stuff. Subscribe if you want. Crimson Lotus Teas, give them a Google. I don't know the domain. I'm pretty sure it says crimsonlotusteas.com. There might be some hyphens in there.
Yeah.
Google.
Don't buy from the Russian fake version.
Yeah.
Crimson Lotus Tea.
.ru.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Anyway, there is not. We don't know if there is one. Don't listen to us. Don't take us seriously, except for the recommendation for this tea. Shout out to the people who watch us still. If you're still listening to this, shame on you.
This is like the better to do. It's like shout outs to Miami, Seattle,
what's up, Cleveland,
Los Angeles, Hollywood.
Yeah, we're just rock stars on the show at this point. We don't give any Fs.
Yeah. Peace.
Subscribe. Do the stuff.
Cheerio.
Wu-Tang for life.